The flight test program is about 2/3 of the way complete. Watching some of the extreme flight tests the 747-8 freighter has been performing can make your heart skip a beat. In November, Boeing test pilots repeatedly dragged the airplane's tail on a California runway. The velocity minimum unstick test is designed to figure out the lowest speed the freighter can take off. As Captain Mark Firestein, the chief test pilot for the 747-8, will tell you, it is a difficult maneuver to pull off.
It's a balance between being forceful and being gentle. We want to be forceful to get the airplane's tail moving down towards the runway. But of course, we want to be very gentle when we set the airplane's tail down on the runway.
It was all force when the 747-8, loaded down with 1,005,000 pounds, soared into the sky. Well, since this flight in June, the airplane has broken its own record by taking off at 1,010,000 pounds. Right after takeoff and prior to landing, the issue of ground effects comes into play. So over several days in October, test pilots commanded the 747-8 freighter to basically hover over the runway. This examines the aerodynamic effects when the airplane is close to the ground. This test helps verify the jet's stability and control while gathering data for the engineering team to finalize the Autoland system.
Different weights of the airplane, different flap settings of the airplane, really understanding and simulating what the airplane could see in service.
Once the airplane is in the clouds, the gravity-defying tests continue.
Recover.
In this clip from August, the pilots purposely put the freighter into a stall to make sure it can recover. And time and again, the airplane was up to the challenge.
In most of the stalls that I've flown, I merely relaxed back pressure on the column to neutral column, and the airplane recovers just fine.
You're cleared for kicks.
The pilots are also verifying the airplane can dampen out vibrations when they intentionally pulse or excite the wing and other control surfaces.
Left.
While the 747-8 freighter officially cleared flutter testing earlier in the year, the program continues to test for flutter as it refines the flight control laws.
You know, we've made significant progress in resolving the issues that we found during the flight test program. We have implemented fixes on the airplane, and we are now driving towards all of the fundamental testing that we have to complete to certify and deliver the airplanes.
The flight test program is about 2/3 of the way complete, as the 4 test airplanes have now surpassed 1,500 flight hours. The pilot, who has been in the flight deck for many of those hours, says it truly is an amazing machine.
If I had the chance to talk to a new 747-8 pilot, I would tell him, be excited. It's going to deliver on the promise of better efficiency, better performance, payload, and a quieter machine. But best of all, from a pilot's perspective, they're going to enjoy flying it.
It's after midnight, and this Boeing 747-8 freighter and its crew are just getting home after a 17-hour test flight, a demanding mission to prove the airplane's reliability.
It tested the airplane, it tested us as a crew. It was the longest flight by far in my career, but the airplane performed fabulously. The ride was smooth, and the systems worked exactly the way we hoped they would.
The team has more to celebrate than just finishing a marathon test. You see, this long flight is also the last one required to certify Boeing's largest ever airplane.
It's fantastic. We're glad that we finished successfully, and I think we have a great airplane.
Since the first 747-8 freighter soared into the sky, the test fleet has flown more than 1,200 flights, totaling 3,400 hours. In that time, Boeing test pilots dragged the airplane's tail on the runway to test its takeoff performance.
Here we go, recovering.
They threw the airplane into stalls to see how it would handle such an emergency. They slammed on the brakes while traveling at over 200 miles or 320 kilometers per hour to simulate the ultimate rejected takeoff. They pitched the airplane up and down to put stress on the airframe to ensure it's structurally sound. They sent the freighter head-on into fierce crosswinds, pushed it to almost the speed of sound, and plowed it through a pool to make sure water doesn't get into the engines, and on and on. In all, the Boeing 747-8 freighters met more than 1,700 certification requirements.
We've put this airplane through its paces. We have tested it well beyond the design limits and well beyond anything the airplane will ever see in service.
In service, the 747-8 freighter will be the largest and most efficient cargo airplane in the industry, capable of hauling almost 150 tons, 20 more than its predecessor. And it will do so at lower costs thanks to a more aerodynamic wing and next-generation engines from General Electric.
It just truly will make these airlines, I believe, tons of money.
Now that the certification flight test program is over, the Boeing team has to wrap up paperwork and prepare the airplanes for delivery, with the first one scheduled for Cargolux Airlines in September.
Well, the thing that's cool is getting the airplane to its customer. I know they're looking forward to having the airplane and putting in service and earning money with it.
The pilots, engineers, and technicians say they're looking forward to crossing the finish line after more than a year of being on the road, working weekends, and prepping the airplanes late into the night.
And working straight through 7 days a week. That's a pretty common thing. So it's been a very long journey, but a pretty rewarding one as well. You get to learn a lot about each other and a lot about the aircraft.